And we're kickstarting the bulletin with yet another instance of how unsafe the national capital is for women. This is another case of eve teasing from Delhi, and it's been caught on camera only because the girl who has been targeted this time happened to be a reporter of India. Today we're showing you visuals that a reporter managed to capture of these men who followed her car and then went on to abuse as well as make lewd gestures. Those are the 4 men we've managed to capture on camera. Unfortunately, this is the story for almost every other woman in the national capital, but this time around it's been caught on camera simply because these men happened to target one of our reporters. She went on to turn her cameras and expose these men and for what they also did. We understand that now a police complaint has also been filed. Let's go close to Parveena Purkayashta joining us over the phone lines. Parveena, you were present there. This happened with you. You confronted these men. Take us through exactly what happened and when this happened.
Akshita, yesterday while I was coming back from a shoot, so what happened while we took a route from Hyatt Hotel, this is one of the prime location that is south of Delhi, from Hyatt Hotel towards Ring Road, there was a white SX4 white color car which actually I saw was driving parallel to our car. So I ignored at first instance thinking that okay they would be, I was busy rushing for another shoot, so I ignored at first instance. But I saw for first 5 to 10 good minutes, they managed to drive with our car parallel, and the moment I would turn, they would actually pass some unparliamentary comments, some unparliamentary songs, would come out of the window, would show some uninvited, unparliamentary gestures. So this continued to happen for almost 10 minutes. So after the 10th minute, I asked my driver if he could help me stopping the car. We somehow managed to stop the car. The moment the car was stopped, the other 3 guys who were actually doing it have managed to, they fled from the spot. It was very dramatic. They ran from the Ganj bus stand, and we somehow managed to stop the car and the boy who was driving the car. So the moment we stopped, we took the mic and we asked him why was he doing this, that too in one of the most busiest, let me tell you, South Stretch, and the Ring Road is at near about 7:38. We have a lot of people going back from office to home, so it was a busy street. They managed doing that. The moment I put the mic on him, he said that I'm a taxi driver and they were just my passengers. I have nothing to do with them. But all I asked him, if you had nothing to do with them, why did you manage to drive with my car all the way along? And you were also speeding the car as the moment my car would speed up. So he had no answers to say. The moment he said he is a taxi driver, I asked him to show his license. I showed him to show his taxi permit. He had really nothing. It looked like more of a joyride, and they were all happy to do it. And even with Akshita, when I was in my car, I showed him through many ways that I'm objecting to it and I'm not liking it. I took out my phone. I showed him that I'm taking your car number. I'm clicking it. But they were really not scared throughout the way. And the moment I stopped the driver, all that he said, he didn't know them. 3 of them managed to escape from the spot. But all that we managed is the car and the guy who was driving the car is now with the nearest police station, and they're trying to nab the others too.
And Parveena, the shocking reality is that this has happened to you. It's happened to almost every other woman in the national capital. It's happened to me, and we can see what's happening there. You know, this is not an isolated road that we're talking about. There's so much traffic around you, and yet these men managed to do that. They managed to pass lewd comments. We understand they were singing songs as well, which is something that's so common on the streets of Delhi. Unfortunately, every woman has come across something like this. Tell us, did they know you were a scribe? Did they dare to do this knowing that you were a scribe?
That is the point. I mean, the car which I was traveling in had a big sticker written Akshita, for which I thought at least they must have seen this and they wouldn't continue doing this. So I don't know if they were that ignorant, they realized it or not, but I thought they also saw the ID which I had in my hand, the artwork or the India Today, but they still continued doing it.
You were also holding the logo in your hand. We could see that in the reflection, right?
Absolutely. So I was holding it for them to realize, I was thinking maybe they wouldn't continue doing this, but they still did. Now the moment I stepped down from the car and my camera person also steps down from the other side of the car, then is when they escaped and they ran from the spot. So that is what I'm saying. They managed, even when they realized that there's a reporter or you're from a media, they did, which means you can imagine the plight of any other women on the streets of the national capital, that too in one of the busiest ring roads.
And we also understand, Parveena, that you weren't alone in that car. You had your camera person with you, you had the driver with you, and yet they dared to do this. Tell me, at what point did you decide that, you know, we're going to film this, we're going to show this out to the people of India and ensure that this stops right here?
Exactly. I mean, I had a male colleague with me, which is my camera person. I had the person who was driving the car, which means I have two male colleagues with me, and they still dared to continue this. So the moment it continued like I told you, I ignored that thought. I ignored second time, thinking that I need to rush and I can just ignore it. I just showed that, you know, I'm objecting to it, be careful. But still this, they still continued with the entire thing. Then is when I have thought, no, I cannot let these guys just go like this away, because maybe I can escape this, because I have male colleagues with me, but they'll go ahead and they'll get some other victim, they'll get some other girls, and anyone else can be the victim, and I have to stop it. So then is when I thought, no, I asked my driver to help me to somehow manage to catch this thing and stop this car. And one of the busiest routes was very difficult for us, because it was somewhere around 7:38. To stop the car was a bit of a difficult task. We somehow managed. We tried to film it as much as we could, because remember the front guy, the guy who's wearing orange colored t-shirt, was one of the main guy who did not fear at all. I wanted to get hold of this guy, but we couldn't, because it was a busy route. We had to step down in while the car was the car couldn't even stop. I actually jumped down from the car so that I at least get hold of someone, and that is how we managed to get hold of it.
It's great, Parveena, that you stepped out, you ensured that these men were caught, that they didn't get away with it. I think that is the need of the hour, really, for more and more women to ensure that these kind of men are exposed, to believe that they can get away with passing such lewd comments in the middle of traffic, in the midst of so much of busy roads. To think that they can get away with this is absolutely shocking. Parveena, at what stage did you pull in the police? We understand that you've also filed an official complaint.
Absolutely, Akshita. The moment I stepped down and I put the mic on the driver's face, so if she was trying to escape, within 2 minutes, because it was one of the busiest bus stands, the police has managed to reach that spot within, I think, 5 or 7 minutes. I appreciate the police was there, but I should mention this. After the moment I reached the nearest police station, that is the Defence Colony Police Station, to file a complaint, I had to almost narrate my incidents to 3 or 4 different police officials separately. Okay, now the moment in the hierarchy I reached the senior police station, that moment was some sub-inspector. All that he said, I think he did not realize until the junior police official told him that I was from media. He said, "ये तो रोज होता है, इसमें क्या हो गया?" And then he quickly goes and tells that ये तो media, ये मैम प्रेस की है. Imagine if somebody else would have gone and complained, this is the situation. One of the busiest routes, the police officials, ये तो रोज होता है, ये तो e-teasing का केस है, ये तो रोज होता है, तो क्या होगा?
You know, something like this to happen on a bustling road is shocking, and then for the police, for you to constantly remind them that you're from the media, for them to actually wake up and take action, really shows how safe women are in the capital. Listen to Parveena. Stay on with us. Also joining us is our editor, Shiv Arur. Shiv, this is the reality on Delhi's roads, isn't it? You see around, there's so much traffic, there are so many people, and yet these men brazenly made lewd comments, sang songs, despite Parveena holding up the logo and showing their way from the media.
You know, this is one of the most unnerving videos I've ever seen. In recent memory, Akshita and Parveena, because what you're seeing on your screen is Delhi during rush hour. You can see a crowded street, lots of traffic. Lots of people around. This is definitely not late in the night. It's early in the evening. You can see a lot of cars on the road. Parveena, our reporter, our correspondent, is in the car, heading back to the office after she's just been out for a work-related shoot. And you see this car pulling alongside her with 4 men inside, all of them, harassing her, passing lewd comments, jeering at her, what we in India call eve-teasing. This is a signature example of precisely what, women in cars in Delhi and, of course, on the road endure probably every day. Akshita, I'm sure you've endured this as well. The fact remains that this is a really, really terrifying example of something that all women in Delhi not only endure, but most of the time, probably have to simply grit and endure it. they probably, don't have the option of
Yes.
responding because they're nervous about what may happen. The circumstances may be completely different. It may not be, daylight like it is now, or a crowded street like it is in this particular case. It may be a more secluded area, so those bring their own dangers. But in this particular case, what Parveena, our correspondent, has bravely done is actually get to the police and try and get these people, punished. The fact is the police is investigating this right now only because of what Parveena has done. Otherwise, these guys would have simply got away. And that's the impunity with which these people actually operate. They've probably done this so many times and no woman has ever really responded in any real measure. They've decided that this is something that we can do anytime we want. This is some fun we can have anytime we want in a car. Hopefully this will be a lesson now, not just for these four men. I'm pretty sure it will be a lesson for these four men, but also for anyone watching this report on India Today and Aaj Tak, and who will decide that this is something that they better not even try to do. It is their bad luck that they did it with somebody brave like Parveena, who decided to actually take action and respond to it. But there will be millions of other women in Delhi and in other cities who I hope will be watching this report today and saying, the next time this happens, I'm not going to sit down. I'm going to figure out how to make sure the police does take action. But we can only imagine how difficult that will be, because even with, Parveena being a reporter,
Yes.
quote unquote, the fact is the fact is at the end of the day, we like to think sometimes that, since we're in the media, the police will respond to us better. That may not be the case, and I think this is just an example of that.
Absolutely, Shiv. And ashamed to say, even I've looked the other way when so many times this has happened, because it's almost considered normal now, or not just the streets of Delhi, but across the country. This kind of eve teasing has gone on for too long. It's time really to put a full stop to this. For people like us, even Parveena for that matter, come out and say enough is enough to these men, so they're not so brazen. Let's quickly take a look at exactly what happened, the sequence of events, what Parveena shot on her camera.
मैं तो टैक्सी वाला हूँ।
आप उसका स्पीड मिला रहे हो कब से मुझे
नहीं जी, मैं स्पीड नहीं मिला रहा।
आप मुझसे कब से स्पीड मिला रहे हो मेरे
मैं नहीं मिला रहा, देखो मैं करीब
गंदे बातें बोल रहे हैं।
नहीं,
आप भागा क्यों?
भागे, वो मुझे छोड़ के भागे, देखो जी आपके पैर पकड़ता हूँ।
वो भागा क्यों बताओ?
सुनो मेरी बात।
वो भागा क्यों बताओ?
पैर पकड़ता हूँ।
भागा क्यों बताओ?
मेरे लिए
आप मेरे को देख के
नहीं, मैं बिल्कुल नहीं कर रहा।
गंदे बातें करे, वो बंदे भागे क्यों बताओ?
मुझे नहीं पता।
माइक में बताओ, बंदा भागा क्यों?
वो मुझे छोड़ के भागे, मेरी गाड़ी में आ रहे थे।
आप मेरी गाड़ी के साथ रेसिंग क्यों कर रहे थे?
बुलाओ उनको यहाँ पर।
बुलाओ वो बंदे को।
अभी बुलाओ उनको। भाग गए जी वो मुझे। बुलाओ अभी बुलाओ।
मारो, आप मत मारो, छोड़ो। वो बंदे मेरे को देख के भागा क्यों?
वो भागे, वो गलत वो मैं कह रहे थे लेडीज।
आप मेरे गाड़ी के साथ रेसिंग क्यों कर रहे हैं?
मैं रेसिंग नहीं कर रहा हूँ, बिल्कुल भी कर रहा हूँ। मैं टैक्सी चला रहा हूँ, मैं टैक्सी में आया हूँ।
वो गंदे बातें बोल रहे हैं, लड़की को देख के आप उसके साथ गाड़ी में रेसिंग कर रहे हो? आपको लगता है मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है? अगर कुछ किया नहीं, आपकी गाड़ी से बंदे भागे क्यों?
वो चले गए, मुझे नहीं पता उस बारे में। देखो जी मैं बिल्कुल खुद टैक्सी करके आया। मैं कहता हूँ पुलिस को बुला के बंद कराओ, पुलिस को बुला के। देखो अंकल जी आगे के मैं पैर पकड़ रहा हूँ, मैं टैक्सी लेके आया हूँ।
गाड़ी का नंबर लो।
टैक्सी लेके आया हूँ, मैं टैक्सी में आया हूँ।
मेरी बात सुनो, कब से निकले आप? मेरी गाड़ी फॉलो नहीं कर रहे। मैं प्रेस से 10 मिनट में बातें कर रहे। वो लड़के भागे क्यों?
वो टैक्सी करके आए, मेरी टैक्सी करके आए। मैं कहता हूँ
टैक्सी मुझे दिखाओ कहाँ लिखा है टैक्सी?
कौन उनका पता होगा? किसका? उनका। हमारी सेक्टर 82 से आए वो। नोएडा सेक्टर 82 से। मेरा टूर एंड ट्रैवल का काम है, कसम खा के।
बंदे जो आपके साथ में साइड में बैठे
वो
हैं,
सेक्टर
उसका पता दो मुझे। नंबर आपके सामने बैठ के मेरे को देख के कब से खाना खा रहा है, उसका नंबर लो। मत करो, मत करो, प्लीज मत करो। आप सुनो, ये गाड़ी चला रहे कब से? मेरे बात सुनो।
सर थोड़ा सा कुछ बात करने हम। चलो बाद में कर लेना।
नहीं, मैं तो सब करेंगे, ये आना चाहिए। मैं आगे बस से हाथ चाहिए। ये जो गाड़ी आप
पूरा काम कर रहा है।
ये गाड़ी जो है मेरे को देख लिया साइड में, मैं लड़की बैठी हूँ। मैं आपका
आप गलत सोच रहे हो।
बार-बार एक ही लड़का
मैंने कहने ने रोक लिया आपको, इसने बोला रोक लो, मैंने रोक लिया क्या? अंकल जी इन्हें कहा मैंने रोक लिया, कैसे रोका मैंने? वो चला गया मैंने मेरी गलती बताओ, मैंने कैसे रोक लिया? आपने बोला रोक लो, मैंने रोक लिया, मैं तो टैक्सी में लेकर आया। मेरे दोस्त नहीं अंकल जी कसम खा रहा हूँ, मैंने रोका आपके कहने में। अगर मैं भाग रहा था तो भाग जाता, लेकिन मैं
आप बताओ अगर ऐसे था आप उनको
भैया थोड़े मैंने बोला भैया चुप चलो, नहीं मैंने बोला नहीं, वो तो बताओ बताओ इस पर मैंने कैसे रोक लिया? नंबर अभी ये कहाँ से आपके पीछे से
ये मोड़ से नहीं और थोड़ा आगे से ये
नहीं मैम आप नहीं याद है ना याद हो रहा है।
That's what happened after Parveena confronted the driver. Parveena, if you could in fact explain to our viewers what really was happening there. You were speaking to the driver saying that, you know, this is what you did. You stopped the car, you were following us and passing lewd comments. What was his defense at that point and how did the police also react?
Yes, what happened was when I stopped the car, Akshita, see, like I told you, the other 3 guys who were there in the car have managed to escape from these spots. But he couldn't because we stopped the car as he was in the driver's seat. The moment he gets down, he says he has no role to play. He had no role to play, and he was just driving the car for his passengers, and he drives this taxi, which to me didn't at all look like a taxi. So I said, if you didn't have any role to play, why were you trying to match and was driving for a good 15-20 minutes parallel to my car? My car would slow down, you would slow down, and the moment my car would speed up, you did. So if you had no role to play, why did you help them at least driving parallel to my car so that they could pass those comments? So he said nothing like this. My car had some issues. My car had some engine issues and things like that. And I told them then what I asked him, if you are good, why didn't you tell him to stop and that he would be in trouble? He said I kept telling them, but they didn't listen. And the moment, and he was saying if I was guilty, I wouldn't stop the car. But the truth is, Akshita, because we stopped the car, that is how the car was compelled to stop.
Okay.
Otherwise, the car wouldn't stop. So
Absolutely.
that is all the arguments was there that, you know, I had no role to play and I'm just a taxi driver and, you know, you should just let me go. And
All right. So that's what happened. He was trying to, of course, plead innocence there once he was caught. Parveena, stay on with us. Also joining us on the phone lines is now Anjana Kashyap. Anjana, you join us today not as an anchor from Aaj Tak, but as a woman in the national capital who's faced this innumerable times.
Absolutely. And long back when the Nirbhaya episode happened and we were reporting from outside Safdarjung Hospital where she was fighting for her life, I remember those visuals that were played where 4 people were actually passing lewd comments, and we recorded that on camera. A case was registered against them, action taken against them. But the whole point is that in this country, the idea of fun on the streets is this. It's shameful, it's appalling, but that's what we face every day in and out when you're out on the streets. If you don't have that, and look at the cheek, we were reporting, and we had the camera man was right in front of me, and there was a mic, and in spite of that, those people had dared to, you know, pass such comments. So there's this whole feeling that we can get away with it. And it's really good that Parveena, you know, chased these people. But eventually, if those people who actually pass the lewd comments, and the police actually takes things seriously, that's the whole point. If you tell them, if they say, kuch kiya aapke saath, that's how they begin, you know. The whole investigation is so, they don't realize that these very boys who are passing these comments are potential gropers, rapists roaming around the city. So if you tell these police fellas that constables that aisa kara hai or they've passed such comments and they've been eve teasing, then the first question is kuch kiya. So for them, seriousness begins once something happens to you. That's the whole problem. I think there is a huge change that needs to be done, and far too long we've tolerated all this nonsense on the streets, and Delhi police should actually pull up its act, and the kind of patrolling that's happening has to be increased. You have to go after the eve teasers, period.
Absolutely. Anjana, thanks for joining us. Thanks to Shiv as well as Parveena who brought us that story for joining us. It's clear, of course, that these kind of eve teasers are brazenly out there. You see it, bustling roads, there's heavy traffic. They continue to eve tease one of our reporters despite the fact that she had the India Today logo with her. She showed it to them several times. If this is what happens with media people with scribes, you can only imagine the plight of any other woman in the national capital. It happens to every single one of us. Maybe it's time we stop pretending that it's normal, that it's okay for something like this to happen, and ensure we send across a lesson to such eve teasers.
No.